What is up, guys? It's your boy Vex Network Cacus, and today we have the guide for the weekly featured Grandmaster Nightfall, the Hypernet Current, showcasing loadouts for every single class as well as a bunch of tips for the strike itself to make this Grandmaster as fast and easy as possible. And so let's get started. Now, starting things off with the loadouts, the modifiers you need to know about are firstly, there's going to be Overload and Unstoppable Champions. In addition to that, there's going to be Solar and Strand Surges. And lastly, Grenade Launchers are the featured overcharged weapon. So for the Titan loadout, I was actually a Strand Berserker Titan, Blade Fury, then Rally Barricade for the faster recharge, Frenzied Blade, Shackle Grenades importantly. For the aspects, we have Into the Fray and Dranger's Lash, our only choices. For the fragments, it's Thread of Mind, Thread of Wisdom, Thread of Continuity, and Thread of Warding. Now, the featured exotic armor piece is the Abeyant Leap exotic legs. This is going to massively improve the suspend capabilities of our barricade and give us woven mail all the time. Moving on to the weaponry, first of all, we have the Quicksilver Storm exotic auto rifle, the recipient of a massive 25% damage buff recently. This thing is slapping and it's going to deal with those overload champions. Next up, we have the Deafening Whisper, a very good wave frame Void grenade launcher. So GL to get the overcharged benefit, and then Void so we can trigger volatile rounds and bricks from beyond and all of those cracked seasonal artifact perks. Moving on from there, same exact reasoning for the Regnant being our heavy here. Very good craftable weapon. Spike grenades, auto-loading, explosive light, puts out a ton of damage, is Void, gets that overcharged bonus, everything you want. Now, moving on from there, as for the rest of the armor perks here, we do have firstly Harmonic Siphon and Void Siphon for orbs, and then Dynamo because we're using our class ability quite a bit. Then we've got Focusing Strike and Double Bolstering Detonation. It does work with the Shackle Grenades. Then we have Void Resist, Solar Resist, and Arc Resist, the trifecta. After that, we only have one Void Weapon Surge, but then we have two Insulations, again, just for class ability being up as much as possible. And then lastly, we have Distribution, because we're using our class ability so much, and we are going all in with Utility Kickstart, so this will use up our armor charges, so that's why we're not going all in on surges and stuff like that. And then one Bomber. Guys, the purpose of this Titan build and the upcoming Hunter build is just to suspend every problematic target you come across. Yellow bars, champions, it doesn't matter, they're all so easily dealt with when they're helplessly flailing in the air. Now, moving on to that Hunter build, again, we are the Strand Threadrunner. We've got Silk Strike combined with Gambler's Dodge, then Threaded Spike, and again, we have those Shackle Grenades. After that, we have Widow's Silk and Ensnaring Slam for our aspects. Our fragments are Thread of Mind, Thread of Warding, Thread of Generation, and Thread of Continuity. Moving on from there, guys, our featured exotic is the Aeon Swift for more heavy ammo. Incredibly good, pretty much a Grandmaster staple at this point. Then our featured weapons, again, we have a Quicksilver Storm, performed really, really well. After that, guys, we have an empty vessel here, a blinding grenade launcher, but it's still going to get that grenade launcher benefit here. And then lastly, we do have a Briar's Contempt from the Root of Nightmares raid. So Solar to get that benefit. Reconstruction plus Focus Fury means this thing is going to be absolutely schlapping and putting out a ton of damage. Now, for the armor mods, we have Harmonic Siphon, we have Heavy Ammo Scout, and Heavy Ammo Finder. Then we've got Impact Induction, Bolstering Detonation, and Focusing Strike. After that, we have the Resistance Trifecta here with all the different elements. Then we've got Better Already and Recuperation. And lastly, Solar Scavenger, which is why we have a Solar GL. Then after that, we've got Reaper combined with Proximity Ward. And lastly, Special Finisher. So again, if you're finishing all the champions for heavy, spawning Special as well at the same time is pretty nice. And then guys, moving on from there, the build that's really going to get the biggest benefit from it being a solar surge is going to be the Dawnblade Warlock with, of course, Well of Radiance, combined with Empowering Rift. Then we've got Celestial Fire, and of course Fusion Grenades. Our aspects are going to be Icarus Dash, as well as Touch of Flame, importantly. The fragments are going to be Ember of Resolve, Ember of Torches, Ember of Singeing, and Ember of Ashes. Our featured exotic armor is of course the Starfire Protocol to give us another fusion grenade and get them back insanely fast. Then, to combine with that, we have the Witherhoard, and especially with the overcharged GL modifier, the Witherhoard was super good within this Grandmaster. Moving on from there, guys, we have the Funnel Web, again just Void and an SMG to deal with overloads. And then lastly, we do actually have a Commemoration. Because all the damage is coming from our Fusion Grenades and our Witherhoard, we can use something like this, and especially this one actually has a Repulsor Brace for survivability to just be able to have a great degree of ad control. Moving on from there, for the armor perks, we have double Ashes to assets and then a Void Siphon. Then we have Heavy-Handed, Firepower, which is glitched and broken right now, but obviously it's what you'd use if it wasn't glitched, Impact Induction. Then we have Void Resistance, Arc Resistance, as well as Harmonic Resistance. Then we got Void Weapon Surge, Kinetic Weapon Surge, and Orbs of Restoration. And lastly, we have Reaper and Time Dilation. Alright, now moving on from there to tips for the strike itself. Now, first of all, when you start out, I just want to say, watch out for snipers. There are some deadly snipers, so being able to yeet over either a suspension grenade or a blinding GL to those guys to let you, jump across the chasm without getting sniped is probably it is a great idea. Next up, another big tip for this strike specifically is use your super a lot. And the reason is because there are a ton of the Vex cranium things that you pick up, as you can see, and causing damage with them refunds your super energy a ton. You'll see your super grow and grow and grow as you're doing damage with these things. So because they're so plentiful in this strike, you're picking them up so often, you want to be able to have an empty super to get advantage of that, to get your super back so quickly, and therefore again you want to spam your super more than you normally would. Moving on from there, guys, we have this part here where you're holding out in this area, this arena, and you have a boss tormentor spawn. And remember, because it's classified as a boss enemy, you can't suspend it, you can't blind it, nothing. So the way to deal with this guy is to completely focus the ads first. You really don't want to even consider damaging this boss until the ads are dealt with. Once they are, you really want to kind of split up and have one person just baiting the boss. If one person is a little bit closer, the boss is going to completely focus that guy. They can just jump around and avoid the attacks, and the other two people can, from a safe distance, do all the damage. Now, another tip when it comes to this guy specifically is right here you'll see he's making kind of the void vortex above his head that shoots out these projectiles, but as you can see my teammate do, you can actually shoot it away. So shoot it, you won't get any hit markers or anything like that, but you can see it will actually cause it to physics backwards and just fly away out of the map, so negating the attacks you'd be receiving from it. So definitely, a lot of people don't know that. Make sure to do that. Now, once you damage this boss, once you reach a certain threshold, more enemies will spawn, so just be aware of that. Great opportunity to, use your ad clearing supers on these guys. But after you do defeat this boss, you're going to be teleported into the Vex Network, and pretty much the entire time you're here, you're going to have to deal with these blights that shoot other blights at you. Really watch out for these. As you can see, they can one-shot kill you, so just kind of be aware of the direction they're coming in. They always shoot in the same way over and over again, so they're easily avoidable if you're paying attention and watching out for them. However, soon after entering, you will get to this portion here where you kill this Minotaur, it drops a cranium, but you actually want to leave it. That's because you can, as you can see, destroy and damage these blights that you have to destroy for the objective with your normal weaponry. And that means you can save these craniums for later. So once all the blights are destroyed, you want everyone to pick up a cranium around the same time, and usually a couple will disappear, but one will be saved. As you can see, it was mine. So what you can actually do is take that cranium up to the next part, which is the sparrow part, and shoot this very first blight, and that will actually destroy all of the blights along this route. And so that means for this sparrow part, you can go completely safe. Like, yeah, there's still going to be the enemies here, but they're all melee enemies. You can just go right past them. You will not have to worry about the blights one-shotting your sparrow, which is very handy if you do that strategy. Moving on from there, you're gonna have to kill a bunch of enemies, watch out for snipers. You get to this part here, because you need to use craniums to do the objectives, a great chance to pop your super and then use those craniums to get it back, all of that stuff. And then after that, you are in the boss fight arena. Now, this is a doozy. The boss is going to shoot blights at you as well as normal attacks. It is immune half the time. It is quite the undertaking. So I would highly recommend using the cover of this arena. There's actually quite a lot of structures around here. So if you place yourself between the boss and one of these, pillars or whatever, and pop a well behind it so it isn't instantly destroyed, and you're also on the opposite side of the arena of where the ads spawn, so it takes them a while to get to you, that is going to be the optimal places to hold out. So one of the first places to hold out is right in this very back corner here. There's kind of a big pillar that you can definitely use to your advantage. However, this isn't the only good place to hold out, because the boss will move around the arena when you reach the different damage thresholds. So once you do a third of this boss's health, you're going to have a new objective where you have to destroy the different blights, and again, you're going to get a bunch of cranium spawns. But once you've taken care of that, as you can see, the boss is going to teleport to a completely different area of the arena. So the best place to hold out is kind of on the opposite side of the arena, and you can see us in safety kind of using this cover to slowly take down the boss to deal with this guy from safety. And again, where the boss is kind of where the majority of ads are going to be spawning as well. So if you're on the complete opposite side, again, you can deal with those guys, such as the champions, from afar as well. It should be noted, however, that even though it looks like you're completely behind cover, the blights can sometimes still seemingly go through that cover and take you down, so you do just need to keep an eye on them, as well as I would recommend not all being behind the same pillar. Spread out a little bit, so if a blight takes out one or two of you, there's one more person or two more people to get those revives. Now, after you do the second third of the boss's health, you're going to have another objective. This time you have to get the shooting blights out in the distance, again kind of with craniums here. So the boss is going to teleport to the complete opposite side of the map. So what do? You hold out on the other side. The side you were avoiding is now the side you're holding out on. As you can see, enemies take a while to get to you, especially if you have a waveframe grenade launcher. You kill these thrall like they're nothing. And then once all of the ads are dead, you can pop a well and go for a Omega DPS phase, as you can see. Now, during this time, however, don't get sucked too much into DPS, because you are going to have these Axion darts coming at you, and if a bunch of them hit one person, even in a well, you can be killed. So absolutely shoot a few rounds of your GL of whatever you're using for damage, and then kill the darts coming at you, go back to damage, just be on top of those darts, because they can end runs. And so guys, there you have it. That is it for the guide. Hope you enjoyed and found this informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.